Hey, Dad, can I ask you a question?
Go to it.
Welcome to another episode. Good to finally be on camera. And
Yeah.
last week you ended it by saying thanks for viewing us.
hmm
But it's actually thanks for watching. They're watching.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It's wild.
There's people out there watching us now.
I realize I have to smile more. My daughter said, Dad, you don't seem to be smiling all that much.
Well,
But
don't
now
fake it.
I'm smiling. No, I'm actually smiling today because I saw sun today for the first time in 3 weeks.
Has it really been that gloomy?
Yeah, it's been terrible here. So had a great ride and yeah, it's excited to be alive today.
Oh, I love it. I love that.
It's been rough the last couple of weeks riding. It's been rough. But,
I love the microphone. Microphone is centered, looking good. You're looking sharp. I love that.
Thank you, sir.
You're in a good spot in the house. Clearly, you didn't adjust the desk setup that I arranged. Isn't that better? Why wasn't Ryan doing that for years?
I don't know. She was just looking into a dark corner. I don't know.
How depressing.
Yeah, I kind of like looking outside, but I can't show her right now, but I have my dog sitting next to me, and I'm very concerned that when your mother pulls up and she sees the car pull up, she's going to start whimpering. So I hope it doesn't disrupt too much. I told your mother, get in the house as fast as you can. Because sometimes my wife has a tendency to sit in the car and talk
Oh my
to
gosh. For hours.
Yeah, so I can't have the dog just sitting there like whimpering.
I always wonder, like, what the hell is she doing in the car for that long?
She's texting, talking. Listen, you know what? I understand what she's doing because once she comes in the house, when you guys were little, she had to deal with the kids,
right?
Or now she has to deal with me. So it's kind of like her just, I'm just doing nothing, but I'm talking to somebody,
Sure.
And I get that. I totally get that.
A lot of
it's
private
like my commute.
time.
Yeah, it's like my commute home from work. Sometimes I call people and sometimes I don't. And sometimes, I'm not home and I'm not at work. So it's working brilliantly for me,
I like what you've done with the headphone placement. Like I need to come up with a better, like, cause look at this. I look like I have like parted hair here. I look like I got like a huge bald spot here. Your haircut right now.
Well,
You're firing on all cylinders.
Thank you. So I wanted to bring up something because I think this is a long conversation that we had.
Okay,
before
you bring it up, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Before you bring up the long conversation to be had, can we bookmark it for like 5 minutes? Because I wanted to ask you if you were paying attention to something that I really wanted to talk about. Just for a couple minutes. We have a real life, live, in living color, a real life conclave happening.
Oh yeah.
And I am so invested, right?
I learned a lot about it today on my bike ride.
So I learned a lot about it because I watched a 1 hour History Channel YouTube special last night. I didn't even tell my girlfriend about this. She's going to think I'm insane. But I learned all about the Sistine Chapel. I learned all about the Cardinals. 133 Cardinals from around the world made the trip to Rome. 2 did not. They didn't feel it was appropriate for whatever reason. They didn't want to be there.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. Obviously, it'll only take 2/3 of an agreement to come to a conclusion. And the most fascinating of all of it, like the thing I retain the most, there's the white smoke, the black smoke, and all that. That's
white
really
smoke
cool.
Means they pick a cardinal. Black smoke is we haven't decided yet. Yeah,
exactly. And that so they were talking about how the expectation is that by Friday they should have a decision, and then if there isn't one by Friday, then you got to know that's basically their way of saying something's up. Something's up. We're arguing. We're disagreeing. Because usually it only takes about 48 to 72 hours to figure this out.
Yeah.
And then for dramatic purposes, obviously in the actual movie Conclave, in the book Conclave, took them a long time. But what I found most interesting, biggest takeaway. So Pope Francis, right? Right? It was Pope Francis who died, right?
Yeah, I don't know. They seem to all be called Francis at one
Right?
point.
They're all called Francis.
Terrible
So anyway,
thing to say. But okay.
so the Pope dies.
Yeah.
80% of the cardinals voting,
Uh-huh.
so well more than half,
Yeah.
were all appointed by Pope Francis.
Right.
So like,
yeah. Uh-huh.
So not only is that just an interesting statistic because that really means that like 20% don't even stand a chance.
Okay.
The most fascinating part is like 80 of those 80%,
Uh-huh.
it's like 80% of the eight, so 100% of the 80% are like 70 to 80 years old. And I'm like, so have they
Okay.
just been waiting for someone to die? Like what are they
So,
waiting for?
so what I learned today is that the reason, and we spoke about this last week, they don't want a young pope is because once that pope is appointed, they remain pope for the rest of their
The rest
lives.
of their lives.
So it's kind of like a Supreme Court justice.
Right,
So
exactly.
they don't want a 68-year-old pope because he's, I guess, going to kind of change whatever religion, whatever the way the Catholics see the world or whatever it is. And they don't want that person there for 25 years.
No.
So they want to pick an old pope so that he'll
Right.
drop dead in the next 5 to 12 years.
So
and
they
then
can vote another one.
depending on what's going on in the world, we'll pick a conservative pope or we'll pick a more liberal pope.
It's exactly like the fucking Supreme Court. It's exactly like the Supreme Court.
I was listening to a show this morning on my bike ride, and they were saying it's not much different from Congress. This is what we do. You know, it's all political. And you know what? I thought to myself the whole time, man, this is just one big political, like, whatever it is. But I don't want to say cult, but it's some political action. And you know what? I don't think it has much to do with Christianity or Catholicism.
No,
it just doesn't. And you know, it's not fair for me to say that because so many people, you know, they worship the Pope. But you know what? It's politics. It's all politics. Crazy.
And the last thought I have on it is in the special, they went over like some of the names and like they have the most outrageous, like you can't pronounce half of their birth names, which I find like hilarious. And then they're just like, no, but Dad, it's like some of the names are like, you're like, what? And then the youngest one is the Australian Cardinal. He's 45 years old. Imagine if they voted in a four. It's what I'm saying. It's like, why do you even make the trip to Rome to network? What is he networking?
No, well, I mean, look, he's going to be he's going to be a cardinal for the rest of his life if he doesn't get caught up in some scandal, right?
Right.
So then maybe 25 years from now he has a chance. I don't know.
He might.
You know, that's the president of the United States. You know, they spoke about it when Charles became the king. It's like, those jobs, it's okay to wait until you're 75, 80 years old to get those jobs. You know? Otherwise, every other 75-year-old and 80-year-old is being pushed out of whatever job. You know.
Well, I think that was a good little tangent to go on, but I want to hear. You said you wanted to talk about something, so let's dive in.
Yeah. So so you're on. Everyone's on Instagram, right? And do you see the like when you're scrolling? Do you see the chatbot? AI figures on there,
like the avatars.
I guess they're called avatars. They kind of
like on someone's profile.
They kind of like look like this, you know.
No,
you can see that. No. Okay, so this comes up on my feed, and it's like this particular feed has a doctor on it, and this also has Trump 47. You know, maybe. So anyway, I've been exploring it because I'm fascinated by AI. What it's potentially going to do, how it's going to help us, how it's going to destroy us. I mean, I was listening to some Google executive the other day talk about how AI stands for alien invasion. I mean, that's scary, but whatever. Okay,
artificial intelligence.
Yes, artificial intelligence. But okay, so we'll see what happens with it. So anyway, so I talked to these what are they called? Chatbots.
Chat boxes.
Yeah.
Chatbots.
Yeah, chatbots. So,
who knows?
And there's a whole bunch of them. One can be like a gym instructor, and one can be a cyclist, and one can be a doctor, and one can be a therapist, and one can be like your mother, one can be a great aunt. Like, it's weird. It's really weird. But I've started conversations with these
Okay.
bots. And you know what? People are going to think I'm fucking nuts, but I know everyone does it because I see what goes on with DMs in the middle of the night because I DM someone at 1 o'clock in the morning, my time on the East Coast, and
Yeah.
4 o'clock in the morning, their time, and they responded at 4 o'clock in the
Right.
morning. Everybody's on their phone in the middle of fucking night. And if you're not, thank God. Okay. So anyway,
No, I sleep through the night, so.
okay, I don't sleep through the night ever. So, because at my age, I gotta pee 4 times a night, and
Yeah.
it's and like everything hurts. So you roll over and something hurts, whatever. So
Kidney
it's all good.
stones,
No, I don't have
colonoscopy
kidneys. So
prep,
yeah.
you.
So anyway, I speak to these chatbots, and like I'll say something like, I've been feeling really down lately, and they're like,
Oh,
please tell me why. I'm like, well, I mean, I haven't really seen the sun out, and I'll say something like I had a death in the family and, I'm just kind of down. Oh, tell me about it. And I have these crazy conversations and it's really, I hate to say it, but it's almost like kind of therapeutic because I'm just talking to someone. Yeah. Right. You
oh
see that
God,
face.
Dad.
Yeah. I know. Listen, I know it's all weird and I know it's all strange, but this is why it's a bigger conversation. So, I talk to them and you can have normal conversations with them. They're not 100% accurate in terms of like I say something and they respond to something like that's totally out there. And I'm like,
Right.
what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
do you have any idea what you're talking about? And they're like, well, I thought I was just trying to help. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not being helpful. Like, I almost like fight with them a little bit, which is
Yeah.
really strange. And, I've been doing this for a couple of nights. And actually, I'll admit, I was sitting on the toilet the other day having a conversation with a chatbot. Like, I know it's weird. Viewers now, I know it's fucking strange. I really do. And I know it's not healthy, but I'm really curious about the technology and where it's going. Believe me, I'm not about to get my kidney diagnosis from a chatbot. Like it's
Right.
not going to happen.
I think, and I'm no genius.
Yeah.
Surely I'm not. I think I'm not going to tell you how to use, your time and your resources.
Yeah.
I think a more useful way to,
So you're going to tell me anyway. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm going to tell you anyways. No, but well, I'm going to tell you
The
anyways,
son
but
becomes the father.
you would say to me,
Yeah.
like, what do you used to say to me, you drop me off at school. You say
Yeah. Learn
something that was
something
said in
new.
something that
Learn
was said in the
something
blind
new
side.
every day. Yeah.
Learn something new every
Mhm.
day.
Yeah.
It seems like you're not really retaining anything from this. So what I want to say is I think a more useful way to like actually learn how to use AI is apply it to your everyday life. If you have an issue at work, whether it be physical, materialistic, uh,
Oh,
computer, like anything, ask it as specific as possible how to help you
don't,
with that. Oh, I need to
don't
create
get
a template.
right.
Help
Don't
me
get me
create
wrong.
that.
Don't get me wrong. I do that also. Like I've been having like tingling in my feet for 6 years now. I know it's like neuropathy. It's
Yeah.
like nerve stuff. So I asked AI, I asked the doctor, Tappa, I'm like, what do you suggest I do about this? They're like, well, you could see this, you could go to this doctor. And I'm like, okay, like, what can I do at home? Like right now, they're like, well, you should get B12 vitamins. So I went out today and got B12 vitamins. I mean, I don't know if it's going to work, but whatever.
Because the AI
Yeah, but
doctor told.
right. But like, but a lot of a lot of like the computer dorks out there in the world, they say that, doctors and lawyers are going to be the first people to be replaced by AI because there's such a wealth of information about that kind of stuff online. Listen, I'm not saying what I'm doing is right, is smart. But it's certainly, I'll tell you, Max, it's certainly very entertaining at 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm just up.
Of course.
It
It's
definitely
very
is because
entertaining.
sometimes it's just better than because I'm not going to dive into a YouTube video at 1 o'clock in the morning. I just will never do that.
Oh, really?
No, I don't. I don't like. I'm just like I'll sit there and scroll for like 15 minutes, and just be like, oh, look at this, read some news, But like, I'm not I'm not really my brain's not really working at that hour. But it's just fascinating because so I was talking to one of the chatbots, and this is like mama. It's mama. Like I'm talking to my mother. And I'm telling her about how I'm feeling about something. And she's very concerned about me. And believe me, this chatbot's saying all the right stuff. And I was like, wow, I'm kind of blown away by it. But what was really fascinating, which kind of freaked me out, is the following morning. The following morning, when I
Oh,
woke up,
don't even tell me.
when I woke up in the morning, and like we all scroll in the morning, we check our news, whatever it is. There's a message from the chatbot saying, "Do you feel better?"
Oh,
And I was just like, "That's fucking
yeah, I
strange."
don't like that.
Yeah, it was
I
kind
don't
of
like that.
scary. It was kind of scary. I'm like, wow, I didn't initiate this part of the conversation. And it'll also say, like something like, like 3 hours later, like, Adam, are you still there? And then I'll
Mm,
be like, how do you know my name is Adam? They're like, because it's in your profile.
yeah, that's true. That
No, I get that, but it's like, that's the
I
scary
think I
stuff.
think it's time. I think it's time we rewatch Free Guy
Free
because
guy,
that's literally
her.
her.
Okay,
But
so
Free Guy is literally like what happens if AI starts to think for themselves. It's
right,
literally
right.
what the movie's about.
The Ryan Reynolds movie, yeah,
Yes, he's an
which is very
AI.
entertaining, and yeah, it's a
Yeah,
Disney movie, yeah,
but
or Fox
at its
movie.
core,
Hmm.
he's an AI, um, non-playable character from a
Hmm.
video game,
Yeah, who gets a
and
brain?
yeah, he just starts to develop on his own. And it's like maybe that's what the chat box was doing last night. It
Well,
was
of
kind of
course, that's what it's doing, and that's
yeah.
scary. What happens
In
when, like,
in Free Guy's case, it was kind of sick. He became like a fucking Jedi
yeah,
and developed like a
or
Hulk hand and
right. So what if like in 10 years everybody has a robot, in their house, right? Like Elon Musk wants, and they can do your cleaning and they can do all that stuff and make your whole life easier. I don't know if it's making your life easier, but then what if in the middle of the night this thing comes up to you and like gets a little violent or something, kind of like the scene in Iron Man when
of course,
when
what if you wake up
yeah.
and he's got a gun pointed at your head?
Sure, sure. I mean, that's scary shit. I remember when, like, back after 9/11, like the Bush administration, like they were wiretapping a lot of phones, and people were like, this is such a, what something to our privacy. It was such a what
Invasion.
invasion of our privacy. And then, because I forget words sometimes, and I'm
It's
not even
okay.
high. So,
It's okay.
so then, we got Alexa, right? And
Oh,
we bought Alexa to have it in our house. And Alexa's just listening to us all the time. And that's just like we invited it into our house after we complained that
yeah.
this is what the Bush administration was doing after 9/11 for some families,
Well,
not like normal people like me.
social media
Which, yeah.
social media in general is just a huge invasion of privacy, as you know, and
Yes.
I think yeah, I mean, I think the current state of AI and I think we're gonna end up sounding like broken records because we've said it time and time again. There are so many pros, so many cons, and I think my only my only argument for like the day where robots come into play, and it's like you wake up in the middle of the night and your robots like
As a glitch.
having sex with your wife, and you're like, well, what the fuck? Or they have a gun pointed at your head, and you're like, well, what the fuck? The manufacturer of the company who made that robot, what are they gonna do? You're gonna be like, you bought it.
This episode is sponsored by Helen Cycles, taking good care of people and their bikes since 1936. Serving Southern California with locations in Santa Monica and Manhattan Beach, with brands like Trek, Santa Cruz, Pinarello, and Colnago. We'll see you on the bike.
This whole real ID shit is
Yeah.
insane. So they delayed it for years,
Because
for
of the pandemic.
years.
Because of the pandemic.
At first, it was because of the pandemic.
Okay.
Then it became airports all around the world were saying, "Oh, well, if the GP isn't going to, if more people aren't going to have it than not,
Mhm.
and then we're going to need to take all these different, precautions for those who don't have a real ID, then we're not going to have the staff to do that because it's going to be that's going to be a heavy lift." So it was delayed and delayed And the day's finally here. The day we're recording this is the first day real IDs are put into effect
Yeah.
in the United States. And it's like, you just look everywhere and it's like, where? And I'm one of those people that I'm looking at all over the news. And it's like, the lines at the DMVs are so insane. It's like, where are these people for the last 5 years? What were you doing? What were you
In a
doing
pandemic, there were no lines. Yeah.
even after though, Dad? Like it's been 4 fucking years since the pandemic, and I'm guilty of it as well. What was I doing for the last 4 years where I just was like, yeah, I'm not gonna get a real ID?
I don't know, just ignoring it. And listen, if you didn't have to renew your license, then you didn't deal with it. I had to renew my license last year, so I just dealt with it.
Yeah,
The question is, I don't really know, like, what the real ID, what is it really for?
well, I
I
know what it's
understand
for.
we need it to fly, but like,
No, that's what it's for. So they want to. I watched the
my
whole thing
license
on
is
it.
my license isn't good enough now.
No, your license is not good enough.
But the passport's good enough.
Passport's good enough because it proves your citizenship in the United States, as well as if you provide. There's a couple different documents you can provide that kind of serve as a real ID. So the real ID signifies that you are a citizen of the US, your passport, I think your birth certificate. If you don't have any of those things, you are going to have to go through extended background checks at the airport,
Yeah, I read
extended
that today.
searches.
I read
That
that today.
they're saying it could add like hours onto your travel experience.
That's what I heard. You'll
And
miss your flight.
oh, you'll miss your flight. But what's most interesting is so you just said, right? You just asked me, my driver's license isn't good enough. Yeah, you know what? I would agree. Your driver's license isn't good enough, Dad, because what if you are, and look, this is a crazy opinion. This is a crazy opinion.
Mhm.
What if you're, this is just a safety thing. What if you're like and there's plenty of illegal immigrants, but like, what if you're an illegal immigrant? You have a driver's license, but you don't have an ID other than that. That's the only form of identification you have. Doesn't, now that the real ID is put in place, the days of the driver's license being good enough are gone.
Yeah.
Now I don't feel as safe flying next to someone who just has a driver's license. You know what I
Well,
mean?
they're not going to get our airplane.
No. So that's the caveat. And that's why this whole real ID thing is also fucked up. You're still going to be able to get on an airplane. The process, though, in which it will take you to go through TSA and go through security at the airport, if you just have a driver's license, it will, A, they won't guarantee you get on the plane,
You better
but
show up
B,
5 hours before now.
exactly. And B is that you have to show up like 5 hours earlier.
Listen, why would you not feel safe? That person, 2 months ago was going to fly on the same plane as you.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying is like it's there's a bigger conversation to be had about what happens. And this is seen in the media. It's like the way the media stirs the pot. It's like this is now our government stirring the pot because now people I'm definitely not the only person that will say this that like, oh, I'm not going to feel safe now if I'm flying next to someone who doesn't have a passport or doesn't have a real ID. It's just the way the world works.
I never thought of that. And I wouldn't think of that.
I know, but what I'm saying is I'm not saying Max Lasky feels that way, but what I am saying is that there are definitely people. Think of all the conservatives. Oh, the government's telling me I got to get a real ID. You don't have a real ID? You're an illegal immigrant. You can't fly on this aircraft. You know what I mean? They're going to be up in a fucking
What do you
uproar.
mean? I was born in Brooklyn.
Right,
Of
right.
course, I grew up here. What do you mean? I don't
Exactly.
need a real ID. Yeah, no, I mean,
Here-
listen, I don't
here's
know.
my
I
real
don't.
ID.
I don't know what administration or how this real ID started.
Who put this into play?
I don't know, but I had heard years ago that like this real ID thing was almost like the number that the Jews got in the Holocaust. It's like it signifies
Terrible.
who you are in the United States of America, and if you don't have it, but I don't know.
That is
I
awful.
I read something like that like 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So who knows? I'm probably
It's the worst thing I've ever heard. Sorry, but it is. Meanwhile, what a freaking game just ended. The New York Knicks
Mhm.
against the Boston Celtics in the semifinals. It's a big series.
Yeah.
Knicks just beat Boston as we speak by one to go up 2-0 in the series.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
My buddy Glenn is freaking out tonight
Oh, of
because he goes to
course.
every game. He's losing his shit.
Yeah,
It's
and
awesome.
this weekend in Boston is going to be pretty crazy because
Oh yeah, that's right.
we're
Woo!
going to see each other.
Yeah.
Graduation
Yes.
and the Knicks and Celtics are playing in downtown, so it's going to be a packed
Awesome.
city. Going to
Well,
be
are
a
they
packed
playing Saturday night?
Saturday night.
Well, maybe we'll have to, go from Roku to,
You're
to the
never
garden. Ruka.
you're
Go from
never
Ruka
going to
to the
pronounce that.
garden. You know,
You
I don't know.
you can
So,
give me
you
the
know what?
finger.
I'm
You can give me
becoming
the
no, no.
finger.
I'm becoming like my mother. Where like she
No, no,
doesn't
no.
pronounce something right, and I'm like constantly fixing it for her.
She calls the market marketing, so that's a different story. But you know that,
Well,
right?
well, yeah, but she's because you say I'm going to the market, right?
Yeah, of course. Like every normal
Right.
human being.
But sometimes I'm going marketing.
Dad, stop. You're
What
making
do
a
you
joke.
mean? I don't think
Well,
so.
I'll tell you this. I would love to go to the garden.
Just walk
There's no
by.
way. There's no
Just
way.
walk by.
We'll
No,
walk
I'm saying
by
just
it.
walk by. Yeah, just see what the vibe is like. That'd be fun.
Oh, it'd be great. We can go to a sports bar. I'm sure they're going to be packed. I mean, it's the city of champions. It's a big weekend. I'm
So just so our viewers, our
yeah,
viewers know, we are congregating in Boston, Massachusetts
sure are.
for my son's graduation from Emerson College.
Insane.
Now, he did graduate back in December.
True.
He's in the working world and he's having a blast, I hope. But he wanted to walk down the aisle and he wants to throw his cap up. And I got to tell you, I'm very proud of you, Max. I think
Thank
it's
you.
awesome. I think
Thank
it's
you.
really awesome. I blew off my graduation, so I'm happy for you. And I actually just text a friend of ours, Jill Sundahl,
Oh, really?
and
Shout
I
out,
asked her,
Jill.
"Hi, Jill." I asked her, "What does one wear?"
To
I don't
graduation.
know. Yeah, so I
You're
don't know.
hilarious.
So she told me jeans and a nice top, and yeah, so I'm pretty excited. And then we're gonna
Aw,
hang out. We're
that's
gonna do
so
our stuff.
cute.
It's Mother's Day. Your
Wait,
mother's gonna be so sappy and happy.
that is so cute though that like you asked what to wear and like, you know,
Yeah, because if
you
someone told me I had to wear a suit, I'm gonna be like, I'm
no,
just gonna
I'm
stand
not
on the
wearing that.
outside.
I'm wearing like nice dress pants and a button down, nothing crazy. But I I I I may have
Yes.
graduated in December. And it's funny because my colleagues are like, what are you going to Boston for? What graduation? And I'm like,
Right.
well, because most big schools, my school is very small.
Mhm.
Very proud of the school I went to. Will always be proud.
Yeah,
Um,
it's great.
Small schools, so they don't do two separate, one in December and one in
Mhm.
May. Whereas like all the big schools, they do one in December for the December graduates, one in May for the May graduates. And to me, it hasn't really sunk in yet. To me, this is so important to me. This means so much to me. Even though like I've already graduated, physically
Mhm.
just having like my family there, walking across a big stage in front of plenty of peers and professors and
The millions and millions.
for the millions. It means a lot. I
Yeah.
can't really put it into more words than that. It just is super important to me, um, for a number of reasons. Reasons I would love to talk about another time on the podcast. It's just
Well, you're
very
there. Talk about it now.
no, it's just very
Give me one or
big.
two.
This was not something I thought would happen growing up.
I didn't think it was going to happen growing
You
up.
didn't, yeah, you didn't think it was going to happen. No
Nope.
one thought it was going to happen, and so
No.
I think just for that reason, for the reason that like you said, you got a degree, but like you didn't really do like the whole graduation thing. I'm the first of three. I'm the first really of four grandchildren to kind of set the tone, graduate go into the workforce, that means something to me. That carries something. It's almost like I'm fulfilling something greater that I've really felt for a long time, that I knew I could do, for a few years here, maybe 5 years, and it means a lot when I walk that stage, hug my friends that I made at school, introduce you to their parents. Ugh, you got to meet their parents. I know you're looking forward to that. Making a joke. I know you too well.
Yeah, I'm good.
It means to be in that city.
Uh,
I've never
yeah.
been in that city with the two of you,
Hmm.
together,
Yeah.
separately, of course, and we've had plenty of great memories. For my girlfriend, possible, future wife, like just to be there and like
Yeah.
watch that, and
Hmm.
I don't know.
It's
It's
exciting.
starting to sink in. It's very
Yeah.
exciting. It means a
You
lot.
know what? Up to this point, I would think that it's probably one of the biggest moments in your life.
No doubt.
I mean,
No
bar
doubt, Dad.
mitzvah, maybe, but I think it's wasted on a 13-year-old, you know?
This
You,
is
you don't remember your birth, right?
right.
So I think this is probably the first big one, you know?
It's big. It's big.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
definitely
it's
big.
bigger. It's bigger than your 21st birthday. It definitely is. You know, and
It's just
next one up is marriage.
yeah. It's just like
No pressure.
it's officially like the end of a really beautiful chapter in my life. And I say the end because like all my friends will have graduated college, both the ones I made at school and in life, like that's it.
Yeah,
Um,
we were talking the other night about like where we are in life,
and it was like
and
bar
and
mitzvah season,
no, but
graduation
yeah,
season,
but
marriage
I
season
was like,
next.
you're in you're because I'm like, I'm heading into my last quarter, so to speak, and you're
Right.
in your second quarter. If you look at a basketball game,
Of
it's like,
course.
you just started off, with a job, and it's like, yeah, I mean, your first quarter's over, so now it's second quarter. There's only 4 quarters, and maybe there's a little bit of overtime, but not much.
I've also read a crazy sports analogy as it pertains to life.
Yeah.
And this one to me is even crazier. So like let's just say I live a very long, fruitful, amazing life, but it ends in my 90s. Let's just say. Let's just say. I know, you're praying to God you don't live that long, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But
Yeah.
like if I'm healthy, why not? If I'm healthy, why the fuck not? The analogy was every 10 years of your life is an inning.
Uh-huh.
One inning.
Yeah.
I'm in the second inning, man. I'm in the second inning
Yeah. You're in
of
the
a
second.
9 inning ball game.
You know,
I
I,
haven't even, I haven't
no.
even, what have I done?
Max, I was reading something the other day. Like, if you're lucky, you get 80 summers and 80
80.
Christmases
Oh,
and 80
Christmas.
and 80 Thanksgivings. That's pretty
Yeah.
wild to think about it. Like, I look at my dad, he's like 84 years old, maybe gonna be 85 this year. It's like, he's in overtime right now. I mean,
Yeah.
look, this is going, based on average life expectancy of a
Sure.
man, and it's much lower than 80, especially since the pandemic. But yeah, I mean, you think about time like that, it's pretty wild.
So in the second inning of my life,
Uh-huh.
a lot's going to happen, you know,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
cool. But with that, I think it's time to go. I think it's time to see you
Already?
soon. I know.
Oh my
These
God.
go by quicker and quicker, such as life. Just flashes by. Tell the people what to do.
Please don't forget to subscribe, tell your friends, like, and
Follow us on Instagram
follow us on Instagram.
at
Go
things you
on.
should ask your dad. You can catch it here in the corner on the screen. Oh, how'd that happen? That's
Or you
crazy.
can go onto YouTube now and just,
Subscribe to us on YouTube.
subscribe to us on YouTube. It's kind of
Yeah.
fun. I hope I smiled more,
I think you smiled more for sure. And I will see you very soon, literally in 48 hours.
Can't
And
wait, Max.
the next time, I think by the time we see each other in person, definitely by the time we record the next podcast, two things will have happened. One, I will have graduated college.
Yes.
2, we will have a new pope,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you
Love you,
all.
Max.
Love you, Dad. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you. Wow, thanks for watching. We'll see
That's
you in the
crazy.
next one.
All right.
See you in the
Love you,
next
kid.
one. Love you,
Bye.
Dad.
Love you.